Joining us now, number 7, John Elway, who I saw walking up from 100 yards away. My people are going, hey, here comes Elway, here comes Elway. I'm like, yeah, I know. You still got the John Elway swagger.
Well,
you still got it, John.
Well, that's good to know. I'm not sure that.
There we got it, yeah. Yeah, you still have it.
Well, that's nice to know. I sure don't feel like I have it, but I guess it's been that way for a long time.
If you had to go out here and throw 4 or 5 out cuts, something tells me you'd probably be able to do that, but I'm not sure what tomorrow would be.
Tomorrow would be tough, but I think it'd come off good for a day. Let's put it that way. But
right.
Yeah, I was just sitting there looking at it. It'd be nice to be able to get out and throw a little bit.
Well, first day of training camp yesterday. We've asked some of our guests here today the difference between camp this year and camp last year with the new coaching staff and a new head coach. What have you noticed so far?
Feels like we're here about 2 weeks earlier.
Sure does.
Well, I think we are.
Since we're the only team in the NFL that's in camp right now, which I think gives us an advantage. But I think it's good for us with a new staff. I think working with Vic the last 6 months has been tremendous, and I think we're seeing it on the football field, how we practice, how we go about it, and the attention to detail that Vic is on top of all the time. And so I'm really feel good about where we are with Vic.
You talked to him, and I've had a chance to. We interviewed him today, and had a chance to do a Q&A with him earlier this week. And it's hard to quantify what I'm trying to say, but he just seems like an old school football guy that loves the game. I think you would know better than I, but I think it's going to be interesting to see sort of the dynamic between Vic and this team from a head coaching perspective.
Well, I just think, and obviously we've struggled the last couple of years, and so it's a big change from there. And I think what Vic brings in is he brings a lot of experience. He's seen a lot of different situations. And football still is running, blocking, tackling, and taking care of your job. And so I think that that's what Vic focuses on. So I think, he is old school. And I think, the timing's good for us to have a guy like Vic here to get back to the basics and have the discipline and put the focus strictly back on football.
We had Joe Flacco on this morning as well, and first thing you notice about him is his size. He's a giant man.
He's a big guy,
and
yeah.
you don't really, you can't tell just watching him on TV or even looking at him from a distance. But, man, when you're standing next to him. The other thing is he just has that aura about him, and you know what that's all about, John, the aura of a Super Bowl champion, a guy that's been around, seen that, done that. He's done everything in the league.
He has, and I think that's, that's a big plus. And if, not only if you watch him physically, as you said, he's a big guy and he can really throw the football. And if you watch him throw the football, he makes all the throws. He can throw it hard when he needs to. He can go over the top of linebackers, and so he can make all the throws. And I just think that, he's an underrated guy. But he also brings, with what we've been through at that position the last 3 or 4 years, he brings some of that, that swagger that you're talking about, the confidence to the rest of the football team to know that, they got a guy in that position that they can trust, that's been there, that understands it, and can win football games.
You get Dalton Reisner and Drew Lock, your top 2 picks, into camp on time, which has got to be good. I want to ask you a quarterback position question. You think back to when you were a rookie and how difficult, and obviously turned out to be a great player, and you were the number 1 pick in the draft, but it was still difficult that first year. They bounced you in, they bounced you out. Is it easier in your mind today for a young quarterback to play earlier? And I'm just saying, generally speaking, as compared to what it was back in the early 80s, or is it tougher?
That's a good question, Dave. I think, I don't think the position's as physical as it used to be, just because of all the rule changes and everything that's going on with the position. So it's not as physical, but I think with what we're doing offensively and throwing the football, spreading the field, the quarterback's we've always relied on the quarterback, but I think it's even more so a little bit now because of the systems and what people are doing, spreading the field and throwing the football and relying on the good decision-making from that position. So I think we rely on him more. In my career, I'm glad I played that first year because I got, started the first 4 games, didn't play very well, got benched, and then DeBerg got hurt, which gave me another opportunity. And so that last 8 games, we ended up making the playoffs and going to Seattle but losing. But that was invaluable for me. And I think so it's a tough situation. I think as a GM, you don't want to have to throw a rookie guy in there because now all of a sudden you're at the mercy of how he plays and the world's going to cave in on him. So, but I know that was the best thing for me. I think where I am as a GM, I think we're in a good situation. Where Drew, I think, has got a tremendous amount of talent. He's got the right mindset, and I think he's going to be a very good football player in this league. But he's got time to learn about it with sitting behind Joe and watching Joe. So I think we've got a good combination there. So when you say, do you thrust him in there and put him in there, in a lot of situations that's good for him because they learn faster. Because as a quarterback, you can go through practice as many times as you want, go through a team period, you never get hit. So until you get into a game, that's when quarterbacks get better. And that's why with the young guys that we have and this extra game is good for us because of the Hall of Fame game, and they'll get in there and get some time.
And I think that's a good point. And what I was referring to is back when you played and got in there that first year. I mean, schemes are obviously different. I mean, you're dealing with a whole bunch and the physicality of the game. You could actually hit quarterbacks in the pocket. I mean, wide receivers, it was a bit more physical downfield now. But now, the game is sort of, even the NFL game is kind of morphed into, at times, basketball on grass. I mean, we're just getting the ball and dumping it to guys that can do stuff with it. So I would just wonder, from that standpoint, is that easier, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think with the throws that they're making, a lot of them are not as many downfield. So you're throwing a lot more screens, you're throwing a lot more things. So your percentages should be up.
Yep.
And you're really, as you know this, you're really trying to get your athletes in space. That's what everybody's trying to do. Get their athletes and say, we got better athletes, get them in space, and see what they can do with it. And that's really what the offenses are now, is to spread the field. Try to, get your best athletes on their worst athletes and get them in space. And once you do that, then you got a chance to be successful.
We're talking to John Elway. Speaking of getting athletes in space, I'm watching Noah Fant out there, your number one draft pick. He looks like a big wide receiver when you watch the way he moves on the football field. Is he a guy that you can use maybe in the slot, a guy that you can kind of get off the line a little bit and give him some room?
Yeah, with his ability and his speed, we can do a lot of different things with him. And I think the exciting part about Noah is I think he's got a chance to be a good blocker too. He's not going to just be a year F, a big wide receiver, as you say, but we'll also be able to put him in line and block because he's physical and he wants to, and he just needs to work on it and get better at it. But so I'm excited about his inline blocking. But a guy that obviously when you have a guy that can run 4.5 and the matchups that you get depending on personnel, down and distance, and so the flexibility that he gives us is tremendous, and to be able to stretch the field on the inside is great.
You look at, and again, we're talking to John Elway. We've been talking a little bit about the offense. Defensively, some interesting additions there. You lose Todd Davis for a little bit of time with the injury, but from a defensive standpoint, sort of your expectations going in. I mean, what's this defense with Vic now calling the defense? What's it going to look like in your mind?
I think we've obviously played good defense the last 4 years, and I think we have a chance to even be better this year. And the reason why I say that is because we were a man coverage team and, played a lot of man coverage, put a lot of pressure on the pass rush and put a lot of pressure on those corners. And I think that what Vic has done, and when you watch his history and what he does defensively, he mixes things up so well. And that's good, even in the mentality of those corners, to say, you know what, it's not going to be on me every single play. And so we're still going to play man. I still have the ability to play man. But with what he does and how he tries to disguise things, I really think we have a chance to be better on the defensive side.
John, we really appreciate you coming by. It's always good to see you.
Well, great to see you
guys.
And
a lot of optimism for this football team this year.
Yeah, we're excited about it. And obviously this is always an exciting time. It's going to be a long camp. And so we got to take it a day at a time and, take the extra days that we have and use them as advantages and try to get better. And, hopefully we're kicking on all cylinders when we get to Oakland on Monday night.
Well, we wish you luck and look forward to talking to you again soon.
That sounds great. Good to see
you.
you.
All right, number 7, John Elway, Rick Lewis Show, 103.5 The Fox.